Welcome to Nourished and Ready, the podcast about nourishing your body before, during, and after pregnancy. I'm Maya, and with me, as always, is Sara. Let's get into it.
Maya, I want to share something personal today because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. Please. A while back, I was doing everything right. Eating well, taking a quality prenatal, exercising regularly, and I still felt like something was fundamentally off. I was exhausted in a way that sleep wasn't fixing. I was anxious in a way that felt disproportionate to my actual circumstances, and my sleep, which I was prioritizing, was actually getting worse.
What was happening?
I was under significant work stress, had been for over a year, and what I eventually came to understand is that chronic stress was burning through my nutritional reserves faster than I could replenish them. It was like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain wide open.
That is such a precise analogy, and it connects to something that gets almost no airtime in fertility conversations: the actual physiology of stress, what it does to your body at the cellular and nutritional level.
Which is exactly what today is about. Welcome back to Nourished and Ready.
To understand why chronic stress is so directly relevant to fertility, we need to talk about the adrenal glands. Small, about the size of a walnut, but they are the body's stress management headquarters. The adrenals produce cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Cortisol rising in response to a stressor is completely normal and healthy. The problem is when it stays elevated, when the stress is chronic and unrelenting. Because chronic high cortisol
Does several things that directly compromise fertility. First, it suppresses sex hormone production. Your body makes a resource allocation decision. Surviving this stress takes priority over reproducing.
That's such a critical framing. It's not a malfunction. It's the body doing exactly what it evolved to do. But it means fertility is genuinely deprioritized under chronic stress.
Second, cortisol dramatically increases the excretion of critical nutrients. Magnesium, zinc, and potassium are all lost more rapidly when cortisol is elevated, and vitamin C is consumed at an accelerating rate by the adrenal glands themselves. They have the highest concentration of vitamin C in any tissue in the entire body.
So the adrenals are using vitamin C as fuel for the stress response, which means under chronic stress, your vitamin C stores are being continuously depleted at the exact time you need them most for immune function, collagen synthesis, and antioxidant protection. Precisely. And third, chronic
Cortisol disrupts sleep architecture, which creates its own cascade of problems we'll come to.
The research on this is striking. Investigators documented how women who had been under sustained chronic stress entered pregnancy with significantly depleted adrenal function, and how their babies, in turn, were born with exhausted adrenal glands, predisposing them to a range of health vulnerabilities from the very beginning.
That's the intergenerational dimension of this that most people don't consider.
Exactly. So what does compromised adrenal function actually feel like? Because I think many women are living with it and attributing it to other things.
Fatigue that doesn't respond to rest. That's the hallmark. You sleep and wake up still tired. Anxiety or irritability that feels out of proportion to what's actually happening. Craving salt or sugar, particularly in the afternoon. Feeling what people describe as wired but tired, exhausted during the day, unable to fall asleep at night. Right. And a diminished tolerance for stressors that you used to handle easily. Things that wouldn't have bothered you before now feel overwhelming.
That profile is remarkably common. And it's important to say, it's not a character weakness. It's a physiological state, and it responds to targeted nutritional and lifestyle support.
So let's talk about what that support actually looks like. Pantothenic acid, vitamin B5, is the adrenal gland's primary nutrient. It's essential for cortisol synthesis itself, and the research on what happens in its absence is quite vivid. In animal studies, B5 deficiency causes the adrenal glands to literally hemorrhage and fill with scar tissue.
And pantothenic acid is found in food, liver, eggs, avocado, legumes, whole grains. But it's heat sensitive, which means processing and cooking destroy significant amounts. Most refined and packaged foods have had the B5 largely cooked out.
During periods of elevated stress, the recommendation is 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily alongside a comprehensive B complex because the B vitamins work as a team and supporting one in isolation has limited effect.
Vitamin C, and this is one that I think surprises people because most associated primarily with immune function, but its role in adrenal health and stress resilience is equally significant. During high stress, the adrenals consume vitamin C at a dramatically accelerated rate.
The research suggests that during illness or significant acute stress, the body's requirement for vitamin C can rise to levels that food alone cannot easily meet. The recommendation for high stress periods is 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams daily divided across meals for steady absorption.
And magnesium, which we have now discussed in every single episode, and with good reason. In the stress context specifically, magnesium is the body's natural neurological relaxant. It regulates the nervous system, calms muscle tension, and is required for the synthesis of the neurotransmitters that support calm, focus, and sleep.
And the vicious cycle here is elegant in a terrible way. Chronic stress depletes magnesium. Magnesium deficiency makes you more physiologically reactive to stress, which further depletes magnesium.
Signs you may be running low: muscle tension, cramps or twitching, difficulty falling or staying asleep, baseline anxiety, constipation, headaches. Given how depleted our soils are and how processed most diets are, most people are low.
Let's talk about sleep now, because I want to make the case that sleep is one of the most underutilized fertility interventions available, and it costs nothing.
Agreed. Sleep is when the body produces growth hormone, repairs cellular damage, consolidates hormonal rhythms, and processes the metabolic work of the day. For reproductive health specifically, sleep deprivation disrupts the hormonal cascade that governs ovulation.
The luteinizing hormone surge that triggers ovulation follows a precise circadian rhythm. Chronic sleep disruption, even just regularly getting 6 hours instead of 8, can meaningfully alter that rhythm and affect cycle regularity.
And sleep is when melatonin is produced, which most people think of as simply a sleep hormone. But melatonin is also a potent antioxidant that directly protects eggs from oxidative damage during their development cycle.
That aligns with what I found. The research on melatonin and egg quality is compelling, and it means that consistently poor sleep isn't just making you tired, it's potentially compromising the quality of the eggs you're developing right now.
From a nutritional standpoint, sleep quality depends significantly on specific nutrients. Magnesium calms the nervous system in preparation for sleep. B6 is required to produce serotonin, which then converts to melatonin. And adequate protein throughout the day provides tryptophan, the amino acid that initiates this whole chain.
Practical anchors. Consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends, regulate the cortisol rhythm more powerfully than almost anything else. A cool, dark room, no screens in the hour before bed, and taking your magnesium supplement at night when it's most useful.
And the hardest truth here: you cannot supplement your way out of chronic sleep deprivation. If you're consistently getting 5 or 6 hours, no supplement protocol addresses that. Sometimes the most important fertility intervention is simply going to bed or clear.
Straightforward and profound at the same time. One more piece: blood sugar. Because the stress-fertility connection runs directly through blood sugar regulation.
Right. When blood sugar drops, which happens after going too long without eating or after a refined carbohydrate spike and crash, the adrenal glands have to respond by releasing cortisol to mobilize stored glucose. So erratic eating patterns are a direct, measurable source of adrenal stress, which reframes meal timing and composition
entirely. Eating protein every 3 to 4 hours isn't just a dietary preference. It's adrenal regulation. It's nervous system support.
The pattern that undermines so many women: skip breakfast, eat something sugary at lunch, crash by 3 in the afternoon, reach for caffeine, eat a large dinner late, struggle to sleep. Every single step in that pattern elevates cortisol and depletes the nutrients we've been discussing all season.
And most of us have lived that pattern for years without connecting it to how we feel.
Next week, the gut, and specifically the gut hormone connection, which is one of the most fascinating and least discussed aspects of fertility nutrition. Your microbiome directly influences your estrogen metabolism, and most women have never heard this.
It's a good one. Until then, please sleep and eat breakfast.
And take your magnesium. See you next week.
If today's episode was useful to you, the best thing you can do is share it with one person who needs to hear it. A friend who's trying to conceive, a woman who's newly pregnant, someone in your life who's been asking questions about nutrition and doesn't know where to start. One share makes a real difference. And if you want to go deeper between episodes, come find us on Facebook. Search Cellular Healing: The Real Result. It's our community for everything we talk about here: real food, real nutrition, and building genuine health from the inside out. We'd love to see you there. Thank you for listening to Nourished and Ready. See you next week.